Welcome to WePC. My name's Will. Today we're going to be discussing the best gaming mice. I have Shaun and Charlie, and they'll be helping me decide the top 5 gaming mice of today. Just to introduce myself, my name's Will. I'm CEO of BGFG. I've got with me today, I've got Charlie. Say hello.
Monitor guy.
Monitor
hello.
guy. Yeah, you've seen him before on a few monitor videos. Yeah. And we've also got Shaun. Say hello.
Hello.
And Shaun, what do you do?
I am a staff writer and product specialist.
Yes. And Charlie, what do you do?
Same, specialise in monitors, peripherals, GPUs, all that sort of fun stuff.
Awesome. And I just do whatever I want to do.
He moans.
I moan, yes.
He moans.
So today we're going to be discussing peripherals. We've wanted to do this for quite a while now, to be honest. It's been a planning project for, 6 months or so. Mainly because when we started BGFG, the first thing we started looking at was peripherals on Gaming Verdict, one of our first sites, which then got merged with WePC. But anyway, and we've reviewed probably over the last year and a half, maybe 50, 60 mice.
At least,
a lot of them, yeah.
Most of them.
Keyboard-wise, we've probably reviewed, 20, 25 keyboards, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Headset-wise, we went through quite a significant headphone review test.
It was a couple of weeks, that wasn't it, where we just focused on headsets.
Covered
Me
the
and
most
Shaun.
popular.
Yeah, probably did 20, 25 headsets. And in terms of our review process and kind of what we do internally in the office and stuff is obviously hands-on reviews. Obviously unboxing is just the initial point, but really it comes down to how they perform for their target audience or target demographic. Obviously most of the stuff we talk about is gaming related, so we test them in games, and then generally speaking take them home and game with them at home as well. Just gives us a better excuse to game. So how many hours do you spend a week playing games, do you reckon?
Oh, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
How many hours do we spend? I play every night. And how many hours? Is it like 3-4 hours? I mean,
15 hours a week at least, isn't it?
it's at least 15 hours a week. Yeah. And we normally play Counter-Strike.
Normally.
We only play.
What else do you play?
No, well, there's PUBG and things like that. For me personally,
When
I'm
it
more of an
works.
FPS player. I don't like any other style really. But CSGO is probably my most popular game.
Yeah, you went through quite a bit of time where you played something else, didn't you, Shaun?
Yeah, quite any FPS I'll touch, but I say that, not all of them.
Not all, no.
But anything that's sort of war related. But mostly all my time's on CSGO.
Yeah, unfortunately I'm the same. To be honest, in terms of hours though, I'd probably spend the least amount of time playing, probably
I'd say so.
10 or 12 hours a week. I reckon
You
you
play
two
stuff like League of Legends and stuff as well, don't you?
not anymore.
Oh, have you
The only
given that
games
up?
the only games I buy a lot of games, but the only games I actually play. My Steam library is huge.
Another failed gaming operation.
Basically.
Installed and they're all FPS. Rise Storm.
Yeah, Rise and Storm.
Yeah, Rising Storm's a good game.
But my point is, obviously, because we're digressing slightly, is we're all gamers, so the products that we have in the office, the ones that take our fancy the most, we generally go home with and play with for a few weeks, if not longer. Kind of depends whether or not I come into the office one morning and realise I need something, and then ask where it is, and someone's like basically trying to hide.
Nobody knows.
And then I realise it's because they've still got it at home. But that's always a good thing, especially for the product testers, and obviously the people who write the content.
I think so.
So just to kind of give you a breakdown of kind of what we're going to be discussing today. Obviously, first off, I think the most important thing ultimately for gaming online, I feel, especially PC gaming, is the mouse. Unless you're playing like something like Flight Sim, in which case you ain't going to cut it with a mouse. So I think go through the mice first. Kind of let's start with Charlie. What's your best gaming mouse at the moment?
At the moment I've got the Mx518 Legendary. It's been out for over a year now, hasn't it? And it's basically a refresh of the old version. The design hasn't changed a bit. It's pretty much the exact same design. I had one of these donkeys years ago. When I first started playing competitive gaming, this was the mouse I went to. That's a lie, actually. I had a ball mouse. And then I upgraded to the 518, which someone actually bought me at the time, so that was nice. But the design hasn't changed a bit. Everything feels the same. It's just a nice mouse to use, so I've been using the Legendary. and this is what I use at home. Yeah. As far as why I like it, it's more of a feel for me. For FPS gaming, I feel like the main factors of it is the sensor. Sensor's got to be good. This has got the new Hero sensor in, one of the best on the market. It's got to feel good in your hand, which for me this feels really nice. It is on the large side.
Yeah.
Like I know I like you specifically like a little bit of a small one. I don't think you'd like this, but for me, I haven't got the biggest hands in the world, but it feels nice. But I am used to the shape, so and the buttons have got to be durable, long lasting, and easy to use. This is clearly an FPS mouse. It doesn't go crazy with the buttons. Feels really nice. That's the one I've used for the last year maybe, and I can't really knock it, to be honest. There is a couple of other ones that I do like, but not enough to go home and actually make the transition from this to the other ones. It's a very nice mouse.
I wanted to like it, but it's just not for me. Like, it feels accurate, but I hate the shape, weirdly.
Well, you've used the Death Adder for a long time, haven't you? So
I like right-handed mice, that's why I thought I'd like that one. But it's just doesn't fit.
Is it maybe a bit too heavy? Because I know this way, is it 100 grams, 90 grams, something like that?
Well, the old Death Adder was 150 something grams. So
it's not weight issue.
No.
150 grams.
Yeah.
By the way, that is mental. For people that aren't don't know that much about mice, 150 grams these days is mental.
Yeah, used to be like
There's mice that's like 50 grams now.
Yeah, I mean, SteelSeries have always been pretty hefty. I do know one of
150 grams.
One of their ones was 164, 168. Not even that old of a one. It was either what's the model range that they use on the SteelSeries mice?
Wow. God.
Rival. Yeah, it was either the Rival 600 or 650, or maybe the 710 with the LCD display.
But then have the
little LCD display.
That was a brick.
Yeah,
it was a beast, to be fair.
Yeah, so if you on a side note, if you want a mouse to avoid SteelSeries the Rival 710.
Not for everyone. I actually know people that like heavy mice.
Paperweights.
Well, they like that. What's it called? Not Prometheus, is it? Some Logitech. Come on, you had it in your hand a minute ago saying,
the G503?
Yeah.
The G503.
Is that a heavy mouse?
Yeah, it's real heavy.
It's
but it has
gram,
it has weights that you can take out the back. So if you are someone that wants lighter experience, then you need, I don't know, heavier. I feel like a heavier mouse does stop. If you're playing FPS games and you want something that's going to stop when you move it, a heavier mouse obviously has a little bit of an edge there, I think.
That was the reasoning, but people now are arguing that it's if you get used to a lighter mouse, therefore you move it faster, so therefore you rack quicker.
Yeah, well, a lot of the pros are using lighter mouse these days, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, I remember them, transitioning into that.
Yeah, going back to the Mx518, I remember when he used to have the old mouse, because it was around the time that we used to play Source all the time.
Battered and bruised it was, if I remember correctly.
But I had the same mouse. I had the old Mx518.
It's great, wasn't it?
And it was a fantastic mouse, but the weird thing is when the new one came out, or when it was rumoured to come out, and I was massively excited to have a mouse that I felt was perfect for me back in the day, therefore I felt would be perfect for me now. And when it actually arrived, I realised it's absolutely huge.
It is big, yeah.
I don't understand how or why I actually liked that mouse back in the day, but I think it's probably because there's much fewer
I don't
options.
think we were that. I don't know if this is completely accurate, but I just don't think we took that much interest back then, because we're talking 15, 20 years ago when we first started playing CS. And are you really that bothered about your mouse back then? You just want to go home from school and shoot some people and that? I mean,
looking back at my setup back then, I had a Logitech.
Can we bring that in one day?
I don't have it anymore. I smashed it. I think it was like 14 quid or something. It was like a telecom person's microphone headset thing, which I think I bought from Asda. So I mean, that says it all.
Perfect.
No idea what the keyboard was. I did get a nice keyboard from Overclockers after a while, but I say nice, an RGB one when RGB first came out. Mainly because I played in the dark and I didn't want any lights on, so the RGB actually helped with typing and just general finger placement. But the mouse itself was like the only thing. I don't know if I had a mouse pad, to be honest, back then. It would be good to review.
I can't remember if I had a mouse pad back then. I did after a while.
On the mouse one, what was there to pick from? Because I picked the first.
To be fair, it does make a good point, because
mouse one.
there was the Intelli-Mouse 3.0.
Razer
was it called
Cuphead.
3.0 back then? Yeah, there was the Razer. I think the Death Adder was around back then.
No, it came out just after. It may
2007, I think.
Yeah,
around
the same time, but I think the Copperhead they were probably at the same time.
The market has definitely exploded since then. It's huge now. The amount of variety. It's probably a good time to look at that tie-on, because that is a ridiculous mouse that, I don't know, it's just, back then you didn't have that much options for a mouse like this, but these days, I mean, they literally make
If you want to
anything.
I mean,
It's what does everyone think of this mouse? Just quickly,
it's
how much
fantastic.
it retails like
because
I want to
it's
say
so
over
bad.
100 quid. Or it certainly
no,
did.
I don't think it was 100.
No.
But
When it,
Look at it.
I just remember when I bought
can we
that.
get the price up?
Yeah. I remember when I bought it and it came and it was kind of like the designer had been told he had no limit on how many buttons he wanted on a mouse.
Don't
And not
worry
for
about
any
the size,
reason.
mate. Just build us a mouse.
It is.
Well, the thing
a
it does
horrendous
that.
mouse.
It,
Well, the new one, I can't trust.
there
these
is
figures.
an argument there for people that will find all those buttons useful. For us, we don't really play those sort of titles, but
Yeah.
there are people out there that would use that. But I mean, it's more just to give people an idea of how much the market has changed. How much?
It's £80.
80 quid.
Wow.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Say $100.
Because
the MX518 Legendary, one of the best sensors, for me, perfect, is like 50 to 60 quid.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
just
it's
crazy.
it's a great mouse for the price. So okay, your favourite is obviously your Logitech Mx518.
Yeah.
Let's go on to Shaun's favourite first.
I think my favourite currently is still the Davina EC2B. That's because
This bad boy.
it's the closest shape to the Death Adder there is, I think. The Death
How does
Adder,
that differ from the Death Adder?
Well, its scroll wheel's worse.
Is
Its
grinding.
sensor's a lot better, and the feet underneath are better, but generally the shape's the same.
Okay.
Nothing else you're going to notice. But the Death Adder I think I used the Death Adder for 10 years. Well, obviously 2 different versions, and then finally changed because the feet had worn off.
That's always a
I'm
good
sure
sign.
they give
So,
like
if
a
you can
10 to
imagine-
20 year guarantee on them.
Imagine a 150 odd gram mouse with no Teflon feet
Yeah,
on that mat with the lowest sensitivity you can imagine. It was hard work.
I can imagine.
So yeah, I decided to
It is.
upgrade.
It is probably worth for any kind of any PC gamers out there, anyone that plays FPS gaming. I mean, if you play MMORPGs, sorry, we're probably not your
We do
able
not
to
mind-
really share much
Yeah.
interest or detail into that because we don't play MMORPGs or anything. I mean, the closest is LOL, but I don't play that enough. For any FPS gamers, which I know most people are, probably good to just quickly go over play styles as well, just because Shaun, and also not so much hand size, but grip,
Yeah.
because it plays a massive part in a mouse choice.
Oh yeah. In the selection process, you should always consider those when you're picking a mouse because
Yeah.
they do have a big.
Fit in
big
your
impact.
hands is the most important thing. The rest doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because obviously you, Shaun, you, as you
Palms
said, lower
slash
sense,
claw, low sense.
palm. You kind of like a medium to large size mouse.
Yeah, something at the end of medium, maybe at
So
low
like
end of large.
the Davina and obviously the Death Adder kind of size, which I mean it's more than medium. It's towards the
Yeah.
large size, isn't it?
But they fit nicely. Your hand doesn't touch the mat, and obviously now they're getting lighter.
And you like right-handed mice, don't you?
Yeah,
Not
I can't
ambidextrous.
use ambidextrous. They look nice, but they just don't feel right when you're playing FPS.
Yeah. What about you? Do you mind ambidextrous, Charlie?
They're okay. The thing with the titles that we play is that you get used to something because you play so many hours of it, and then making even the smallest minute change can have a huge impact on your in-game performance. So that's why you see a lot of these pros where they're like, "Yeah, I'm still using this mouse from 10 years ago," because they get used to something and they don't want to change because it can affect their performance massively. But I don't think they're terrible. Ambidextrous mouse, I think they're fine. Like the Lancehead? That's an ambidextrous mouse.
Yeah.
I used that for a little while.
I didn't like
I thought it was fine. I mean, yeah, it's personal preference at the end of the day. But I do have like a hybrid sort of claw palm grip where it's not like Shaun's where it's sunk into your palm and it's you need a bit of an ergonomic shape there.
Yeah.
It's more free, so it is a bit more forgiving.
But it's what you get used to. I think my first,
Yeah, it all comes back to that.
other than the IntelliMouse, which I swiftly got rid of because I didn't realise that was a good mouse. So I went for a gaming
great
mouse
mouse.
because I had no idea what I was doing. So I got the Razer Cuphead.
You got
which-
marketed to basically.
Oh yeah, big time. The Razer Cuphead obviously is an ambidextrous mouse with terrible rubber grip sides. I don't know if anyone remembers it. Horrible. But I got used to that and it was fine. It worked. Didn't matter. So it's
Yeah.
just whatever you're used to, isn't it?
Yeah. No.
I think that's a big factor.
But now, mostly because of this job with the variants and all the things I'm learning,
yeah.
now I can look at it in a different way and pick a mouse that way and then get
Yeah.
used to it afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to make the switch to this, the Cone Pure Ultra, and I was playing okay with it for a while, but it's a difficult thing changing over. If you're more of a casual player that just plays, I don't know, a couple of hours a week, you don't really play at a competitive level, you can make the switch quite easy. If you're playing something super competitive like CS:GO or Rainbow Six, you're really better just sticking with a mouse that you know works for you, and then just honing in your skill set. But yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I tried to make the transition to that, and I didn't think it was horrendous, but it's one of those things, really, where some people find it easy, other people, it's just personal preference. It's one of those. What, from your point of view, what's your favourite mouse?
My favourite mouse at the moment is the Logitech G Pro Wireless, not the wired version. I went through a few mice when we first started doing all the peripheral reviews, 18 months ago, whatnot. I basically bought the Roccat Cone Pure Owl Eye, the original version, and I really like that because it's
Nice
quite
mouse.
a small mouse. It is a nice mouse. You hated it at first as well.
You know what? That's just one of those things, right? This is what I'm talking about, people transitioning over. I didn't like the mouse at all when I first started using it, but then after a couple of days, I did actually get into it. This is before the Legendary was released, obviously. But yeah, it's one of those things. I didn't like it at first, but it did grow on me.
Yeah, I mean, I like small mice, so things like the Death Adder, the new both of the Mx518s, the Lance Head, more so because it's ambidextrous and it's just got a weird flail at the bottom. But I don't like those sort of mice. I don't mind ambidextrous mice, but it's more so the small size. So basically, Cone Pure was just one that I grabbed hold of when it first came into the office, and I think I kept for maybe like 3 months, maybe even more. Then I kind of moved on to the Logitech G Pro Wireless, mainly because it was a massively popular mouse at the time. And I combined that with the PowerPlay mousepad, which meant I didn't have to charge it. It just kind of charged itself through the wireless technology. I like the Logitech G Pro Wireless. I have a few small reservations. I don't know, since we started playing like CS:GO again in the last few months or the last few weeks, I kind of feel like it's a bit too small now, and I don't understand where that's come from.
Yeah.
It's a bit bizarre. It's like maybe because I use a laptop quite a lot and therefore the mouse pad on the laptop, I feel like my hand movement and like the moulding of my hand when I use a computer now, because generally on laptop, has changed quite a lot, and I feel that really is the only reasoning as to why my hand would change. So I'm going to try the new Razer Viper, the wireless version of that as well, and see how that fares. But yeah, the Logitech G Pro for me is probably one of my favourites. Before that, I also used the Abyss V2, the Razer Abyssus V2, which I did like. It's terrible. What? You like that as well, Chaz?
That's the one that's like the size of a golf ball.
Yeah, it's a bit small for me.
It's a good. You used it for quite a bit.
I did try it, because I went for a period where I was trying to find a mouse that was, going to make me better at a game that I've played for 20 years, but I realised it ain't happening. So I went for a bunch of mice. One was the Cone Pure, one was the Abyssus. I think I even tried the 503 for a little bit, but just too big and too clunky. It's not an FPS mouse, that. But yeah, I tried it. It was okay, but I could never transfer from the mouse I'm using now to that. It would just be too weird. Yeah. It's too much of a change.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point there. Like, whatever mouse you're using at the moment, whether it's bad, whether you like it or not, I think transitioning from one mouse to another, you need to kind of give it some time. And going
absolutely.
from one totally small mouse to a large mouse, it might be a positive step change, but initially it won't feel like that.
Oh no, it'll be like
you take a beating.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely will take a few weeks, if not a few months, of just.
Well, you
so it's like that with the Viper for me now.
I was going to say, because you've just changed from the Zowie, haven't you?
The only difference that you notice is it's your consistency. So you'll have a good game and a terrible game, and it's just going to be up and down until you get used to it.
Yeah.
A question just popped into my head. Do you reckon wireless mice will kind of take over? Because obviously you're using the Viper now, which is obviously a wireless mouse. Oh no, you're using the wired version, aren't you?
So, I used the ultimate version, and unfortunately, as good as it is and as good as the technology is, it's still not as good as wired.
Okay.
Because you get a tiny percentage where it'll cut out, and I had that during a game once already.
With the Viper?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So
And
it
it
just
just so
stopped.
happened-
And it didn't run out of battery. It just stopped. It
It
was
was
obviously going low.
quite a critical moment, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Just I think I was mid dust 2, and it just
Yeah.
stopped working. I was just running into CT, can't turn around. So. Yeah.
That's interesting because I mean, as I said, I've been using the G Pro for I don't know, 2 years now, maybe. Actually, no, not 2 years. What I'm talking about, but maybe a year. And when we was obviously doing all the research and reviewing all the mice and stuff, obviously a lot of things that came up with the whole moving to wireless was the latency issues and connection issues and such. And I was a bit concerned about that as well. Obviously being as good a gamer as I am, I didn't feel I've never to this day. Obviously, I still use this at home. I have 2 Logitech G Pros, 2 PowerPlay mice, one in the office, one at home, and I've never had any issues with it. It's never disconnected or had any like lagging issues like
latency. There's no lag or anything. You don't notice anything. Like the technology is really good, and it might be that Logitech's technology is better than Razer's, which is plausible, but it just cut out for a second. I had the same problem with the Mamba where that was different. That I got tilt slam with the wireless Mamba.
Oh, really? That's a weird one.
It because of my low sensitivity, so I'd be swiping it loads. It would just all of a sudden look at the ceiling.
Yeah, for people that don't
yeah.
understand,
Your
that's
aim just goes
basically-
off the map, but randomly. But
Yeah,
but
but-
the other stuff you don't notice that it's wireless, other than that one instance.
One thing I will say is, though, you use the PowerPlay mousepad, don't
Yeah.
you, with it? Which that's the only difference I can see there, really, because they're both relatively new mice. Apart from you have the dongle in the PC, and his is literally playing on the PowerPlay, which charges it as it goes.
And
So
the receiver's probably closer if it's
Yeah,
in the
that's
pad.
what I'm
I don't know
thinking.
what it
Well,
is.
that's the thing on the mouse pad with the PowerPlay mouse pad. The receiver's part of the pad,
yeah,
could make a
exactly.
difference.
So
and
yeah.
you swap out the battery. So I think in this,
Yeah.
you swap out the battery with the one that comes out the PowerPlay pad, mouse pad itself. I am wondering because I do remember when I used the SteelSeries wireless one because I actually thought that might have been decent. The 650, I think it is Rival 650.
Yeah.
I had the same issue as you in terms of what's it called, where the mouse just goes off.
I think it's called tilt slam. That's
slam.
what
yeah,
off the top
it's
of my head.
like spin out,
Yeah,
sensor
spin
spin
out,
out,
yeah,
and
that's
things
It
like
goes
that. There's a
from where you're
number of-
looking and right up straight away.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I had
Yeah.
that with the Rival 650, but yeah, weird. I've not had it with the Logitech G Pro, but yeah, I think it might be good to test that actually because the Razer do have the Mamba. What's it called? They do
Mamba
have a
one
mouse
is-
pad.
the
wireless mouse pad.
Firefly.
Yeah, the Firefly. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
quite expensive. I think it comes. It's a combination of the.
Oh no, that's not it.
No, it comes with a combination with the. It used to be with the Mamba wireless, but obviously that was the first mouse. I think you probably get it with
Yeah.
Viper maybe.
It was and I think Corsair have their version as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course I have their
I think a
version,
lot of them
Qi.
do. Yeah.
but they use different wireless technology.
Qi wireless, isn't it?
Yeah, they use
It's not as
Qi.
good. The PowerPlay is the best one.
Yeah, Logitech, in terms of a brand, at least in my opinion, don't do everything gaming peripheral wise great, but they do have very good mice, very good reputation, very good history of mice as well. Obviously the Mx518 is Logitech, obviously the G Pro, and also just the general lightning speed.
Yeah, they use the light speed, don't
Yeah,
they?
light
The
speed, yeah.
light speed technology. But Razer have a similar feature now, don't they? They have like a light speed thing. I can't remember their branding of
I
it.
wanted to call it hyperspeed. But
I think it
can't
is hyperspeed.
But the big thing about Razer's new mice is obviously in the wired ones, the
clickers.
the clickers, yeah, that's the big one. The optical buttons,
Yeah.
which you don't know, you're never going to notice the difference. But if they are scientifically faster, then that's just better. And the thing is, there's no debounce time.
Well, the evidence is there, isn't it?
But
Oh yeah.
Razer's version V2 mice that they released recently, they were launched with probably one of the best cables I've seen from them, particularly, but in general.
Why is it a good cable? Just for people that
it's light, it's braided, but it's super lightweight. It's like a paracord cable, but it's extremely lightweight.
Yeah.
And you don't.
Would
if
you
you-
need a bungee with something like that?
You would to stop it snagging on your desk, but if you don't have a cable that snags on a desk, you never need a bungee because you actually don't even notice the cable. But
Right.
they've come on a lot, Razer.
I do remember when you was reviewing it and you were discussing the cable thing, and you can definitely see a difference, can't you, between the new ones and the older versions.
It's good that they're improving because they have
I
had
think they are
build
improving,
quality issues in the past.
So next, I kind of want to talk about. We've obviously talked about what our favourites are. Obviously, Charlie's Logitech Mx518. Shaun, you were on the Zowie Divina, and now you're on the Razer Viper.
The Viper, yeah.
Obviously, mine Logitech G Pro. So they're kind of our favourites in terms of what we don't like. Before we get onto that slightly, I did kind of want to discuss Razer because we have a lot of Razer products. Obviously, Razer are heavy, if not the heaviest, in gaming peripherals, and just kind of the PC gaming market right now. Like, they are completely taking it by storm. But I feel, at least from my own perception, that Razer used to have a pretty poor reputation for durability. I don't think I'm wrong in saying
Safe
that.
to say, yeah.
Well,
Safe to say.
it's definitely hit and miss. I personally, I had 2 Death Adders over 10 years. They didn't break.
Yeah, yeah, fair point. Yeah,
Well, yeah, I mean, how much of it comes down to luck of the draw? That's one of the things. Because Shaun there, as he said, he had 2 Death Adders over a long period of time. And he had, next to no issues. I was using a Basilisk in the office for 2 months maybe, and the thing just started falling apart in my hands. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Things were falling off it. I mean, that's no, I'm not exaggerating there. Things were falling off it. It was ridiculous.
Same with the Death Adder Elite.
And how much is that
rubber
mouse?
grips.
That's like a £60 mouse.
the
as well,
which
Basilisk.
one? The Basilisk. I think
Yeah.
most of them are about £60.
Yeah, so they're not cheap. They're, they're. I'd say they're mid-range to looking at the higher end.
A lot of their gear's overpriced, but I think I am obviously
RGB
biased. But the Death Adder, apart from the Elite and the Chroma, the Death Adder was really well priced. 50 quid.
Death Adder's
Yeah.
a very good mouse. It's one of the biggest selling mice of all time, I believe.
Yeah.
I think.
And they just keep releasing iteration after iteration. They've just released that new one now. Is it the what is the new one called? The V2 Pro or something?
What, the Death Adder? Oh, the new wireless
the one
one.
they've just brought out. Yeah.
Yeah, that should be interesting because, I mean,
we should get it.
it's meant to be lightweight. Obviously, everything's going to be lighter than the old Death Adders, but it's meant to be lighter. It's just whether if it has the same issues as the like the Mamba wireless is probably the comfiest mouse I've ever used, but I would never use it because of the issues you get with the sensor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
V2 Pro, it's called the new one.
Yeah, I definitely think Razer's come on. I mean, in terms of the market and the perception that they have, they've come on leap and bounds. In terms of like their target audience as well, we're kind of just before their time in terms of like when we were probably their target audience originally. We were already a little bit older and obviously already used to using like the IntelliMouse and the Logitech Mx518, the original.
Yeah.
Whereas now, teens who are probably 18 to 20, they probably grew up with Razer, so they are
Yeah,
probably
I
far
think
more
so.
loyal. I do admit, like, I think it was the Basilisk and the Death Adder that we previously got, the previous generation, the rubber side did kind of fall off
the
within,
grips were terrible.
I think, I'm sure I used one of them for 2 or 3 weeks and it came off, or started to come
And
off.
that wasn't me gaming on it every day. That was
No.
just light usage in work. So your hand isn't on the mouse constantly. I'll be using it for a little bit, typing, using it a bit,
Yeah.
and it just basically fell apart. It was ridiculous.
Overall, though, Razer as a brand, I think for anyone thinking about purchasing a Razer product, I would strongly recommend it. I don't think they're a bad brand
No.
at all. I think,
No.
as I said, they've come on leap and bounds, and their products these days, generally speaking, not just mice, are pretty fantastic and pretty reasonably priced. I mean, some of the keyboards are a bit more expensive, and we'll go into that detail in our second episode. But from a mice perspective, I think they're pretty reasonably priced.
They're not
I think
bad.
some are, and then some potentially not.
The
they
wireless
do a lot
ones.
of focus around RGB as well, don't they? Which splits the market in half. I quite like RGB personally. I'm a bit of a.
I think the fact that you can turn it off.
I
though,
don't have
mean,
anything against it.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. But I do know there's a large percentage of people out there that aren't keen on the RGB, and they think that a lot of the price of a Razer is RGB. It's just RGB price because the look of a Razer product.
Yeah, I think that's also because Razer kind of pushed the market from an RGB perspective.
Yeah.
They're what
Are
I
they
think
the
of when
innovators?
with
Yeah.
RGB.
Yeah. If you ask anyone what they think when you say RGB peripherals, you go straight to a Razer, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That's
So,
literally what they're known for.
So let's probably wrap up and just quickly fire through which mice we absolutely hate. Don't think hate's too strong of a word. Depends which mice we're talking about, and kind of what people should generally steer clear of. I think that's a good place to start. Shaun?
Yeah, I think it's also worth mentioning there are seriously premium mice that you can buy for an extortionate price that are possibly better than the ones you mentioned. But
Yeah.
they're not really available a lot. There's like a limited supply. What is it called, like the Final
Yeah.
Mouse Ultra
Yeah,
Mouse?
Yeah, see,
Stuff like that, which are technically really good, but if you can get.
Are they
your
more
hands on them.
enthusiast level sort of stuff?
Yeah, it's like PC gaming racing. PC. Generally speaking, if you want one of them, it's usually overclockers in the UK that are the best at retailing them.
Yeah.
Didn't really talk about the glorious much, but
No,
I think they sort
but
of slipped under the radar. There was a lot of hype around some
Massive
of the
hype. Yeah,
Not
massive
bad, but
hype.
disappointing for me. Well, it was okay.
They're kind of like
Yeah.
I see
Change.
a lot of those mice as kind of like the Air Jordans of the mouse world. Like they're very
Yeah, I know what you
collectible because they're
Yeah.
massively
Yeah, they are.
hyped. Like
Yeah.
what was it, the Air 52 or what the hell it was called? I think it was like one of the first ones after holes in the shell itself. Massively hyped, and I think only a handful of people got their hands on it, and it actually turned out to be a pretty crap mouse.
That is sometimes the case, though, isn't it?
So yeah, what's the worst mouse, or the one that you would definitely not recommend, Shaun?
So the worst mouse for me that I have actually had the pleasure of using was the Rocket Tion. I can't even imagine anyone buying it though. I feel bad if someone has in the list. if that I can't ever see a use for any game.
Can you see a use for just as a
You
product?
You could use it like instead of a conker in a conker fight.
Let's put that to the test
Mouse
sometime.
conkers. That is something we are trying to. We
yeah.
might be planning.
Watch this space. So
Conker
you
Wars.
could put it through like an enemy's window.
Yeah, you
I hope
don't buy
you're
that mouse to
thinking-
beat the enemy in the game. It's in real life.
Other than that, I don't know why you would waste your cash.
So
I think it's overpriced what it is, the time. I
Yeah.
wasn't a fan
I can't
of it. It's a
believe
bit of a
it's
meme
80
in the office, isn't it? It's like whenever someone new starts, we always try and get them to use the time because it's so bad.
it's
I mean,
either
there
that
are
or
worse
the,
mice out there, don't get me wrong. The ironing
Yeah.
board.
Oh,
Or the oven mitt.
The
Like,
iron.
that's not going to mean anything to
It
anyone.
means the MX
But there are a
vertical
lot
barrel.
of like non-branded, like ridiculous mice on Amazon.
yeah.
Where they are worse than that.
Yeah,
They are worse.
please, if you're
Yeah.
watching,
Let's-
don't go and buy a non-branded Amazon
Yeah.
Chinese.
I mean,
manufacturing mouse.
let's be realistic. There are worse mice than this, but in terms of what we're talking about, the branded mice that are actually reputable, that's pretty terrible for me. In terms of what I don't like, anything that's like super small, really. Like I said before, I haven't got huge hands, but because I've sort of got used to using larger mice like the Mx518, something like this.
Whoa.
Is this the 203?
That's the 203
Yeah.
or the 302.
I think that's horrific. I'm not a big fan of that.
302.
I would not recommend people who play FPS games to use something like
Yeah.
this.
I
my
have a
feelings.
weird feeling that might be like a serious pros, like a top end pros.
It's a.
best mouse.
It's rubbish.
I'm
though.
sure it's called the 302 Prodigy. I think.
That's not Shroud's mouse, is it?
No, he uses the G Pro these days.
These days, no.
He used to have a cupboard full of them. I think.
Okay, so the history of this mouse, the reason I put this mouse on the table, and I appreciate some people are just listening and not watching, is this mouse I bought in South Korea when I went to live in South Korea for a few years. I had no mouse because I kind of went there with a MacBook Pro, and I played CS Source, or CSGO maybe. Must have
Is this
been
why you
CSGO
were
actually.
so bad?
Well, no, we only played once because
Oh,
British
yeah.
pings are just crap.
Yeah.
But no, I was playing with my friend in Korea, and we used to play obviously competitively in Korea. And this bad boy here, the 302, yeah, competitively. The 302 was my tool to use. And actually, you know what? Until I came back to the UK, I thought it was fantastic.
Well, I don't think there's a better advert for not using that mouse.
Look how
than-
shiny.
That's Will's tool.
He's not lying. Look how shiny.
I know
Mouse
it
one
has.
is.
It has worn.
I mean, Mouse One is
It is
proper. I
one.
can see myself in Mouse One.
It was a fantastic tool.
But again, this all comes back to personal preference. From me, in terms of what I think's bad, someone else might think's great. I do not like small mice. That's too small. It feels ridiculous. I couldn't pick that up and have a good game, like any FPS game. I'd be horrific.
When do you have a good game? I mean,
Brutal.
Can we just pull up some stats on the screen now for
Let's
the
pull up some
YouTube
stats.
listeners?
okay, and here we go.
But yeah, for me, that anything small really. But I don't really like the design of those either. Yeah. I'm not huge into the design of a mouse in terms of just aesthetic.
To be honest,
But that I just don't like it.
Yeah,
So,
I mean-
and I've got nothing against Logitech as a brand. I think they're very good. Obviously, I use the MX518. I think that's rubbish.
yeah, as you said, like literally each to their own, and this is kind of why it works with us three, because we're completely different in terms of
Yeah.
what is comfortable, what is not comfortable from a mouse perspective and also our playstyle, as we kind of mentioned before. This mouse, the 302, obviously you've just kind of gunned down. Logitech, yeah, great brand. They also do mice in pretty. I think they kind of do a mouse to fit everyone, really.
Yeah.
If Logitech were the only company to do mice, I think everyone could comfortably find a mouse to suit their playstyle.
They're the safe shape brand.
They really are. We know guys. Who's that? I don't want to say the name, but he. What's that mouse? Is it a 50?
It's the daft one we were talking about before, the heavy one.
Yeah, he
G503.
G503.
He loves that. Absolutely
that's his favourite mouse. That brick.
I hate it. So it's kind of like, well, there you go.
There's a definite argument, and not to go off track too much, but there's a definite argument these days for performance and weight. It seems to be getting less and less in terms of the weight. Your reaction time gets better. Accuracy, me personally, I mean,
doesn't help.
Doesn't really help me much. But the pros, the mice are definitely getting light. That's what I'm saying. So using something heavy like that, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. Yeah. I mean, if you're casual, probably not. If you're seriously getting into competitive FPS and you're getting very good, then you could actually be putting yourself at a disadvantage there. So there's something to think about. But it's a niche market.
You've said your two mice that you absolutely hate. I just want to throw one under the bus for being probably the worst mouse I've ever bought. And I think I handed it to one of you guys to review because it was just tragically
Corsair?
Plastic. No, it begins with an S, so it's obviously a Steel Series.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's called a rival, but the 110.
Oh, the 110.
Oh, really?
Budget mouse. Literally feels like the hollowest piece of plastic in the world.
That's probably controversial.
I don't even think it has anything inside it. I don't even think it's a mouse. I think it's just a mold. It's just absolutely
no
horrible.
sensor in there.
If you're looking for a budget mouse, do not get the Steel Series 110, please.
I don't know. The rival 110 and the 310, are they
the 310's alright.
Are they the right-handed or the ambidextrous? I'm pretty sure they're right-handed.
So there's somewhere gathering dust.
It's the Sensei or whatever it's called.
No, not
that's ambidextrous, isn't it?
The rivals. Rivals right hand. We didn't get any Senseis, to be honest.
I thought we had one.
We might have one, but another rival. Yeah, so it's a rival 110, so it's the right-handed. To be honest, because we'd bought the 650, we'd bought the 710, we'd bought the 600, we'd bought the 310, and I think the 110 might have been the last one we reviewed. I kind of just felt, it's a budget mouse, but it would still be of the same kind of structure. But I kind of feel like they'd basically taken all the recycled plastic from the other 5 mice they'd built and just went, let's just build another mouse out the back of this. Good for them if they're environmentally friendly. But as a mouse goes, probably the worst mouse I've ever used, and that says a lot for me because I'll use anything.
What's crazy about it, that's a budget mouse, and up until recently, £30 was probably $30 was a budget mouse territory. The Razer Viper, it's been out a while. The wired one is 30 at the moment.
Yeah, I think that was on a deal.
It was on a deal, but it's
35
probably going to just go down over Black Friday.
It's not an expensive mouse, the Viper, and this is kind of why I always go back to the Comb Pure Owleye for being a really good mouse for the price. Because obviously I love the G Pro, but it's an expensive mouse, especially if you get it with a power play. You're looking at almost £200 for the bundle.
I think that's a little bit extortionate.
Oh yeah, it is.
You can almost build a gaming PC for that price.
What price?
£200?
Yeah, you could do. Yeah, lower end one.
Pentium 4
Dell
processor, please.
We've got our best PC for $300 on the website.
Yeah,
not far off. That's what I'm saying.
It's not far off. But you wouldn't get any peripherals. So you just
no, I'm not saying that. But
zero monitor, no peripherals.
But someone could. You could.
Yeah. No, 100%. It is expensive. Like the people that spend 150, 200 quid on peripherals. Obviously, you've already got a decent computer anyway.
Yeah.
Like we wouldn't be like, you go buy that $300 PC build and then buy this £200 or $200 mouse and mouse pad bundle because it just it doesn't work.
Crazy.
But in terms of like in a budget. I think the Rocket Comb Pure. What is it called?
The Rocket Comb Pure.
They've been bought out, by the way. I can't remember who owns them now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think Razer or
Does that mean they're going to bring out no more Titans?
Probably Corsair. They can join the terrible.
One of them bought them.
You know what? We haven't touched upon Corsair at all.
Corsair had dollop.
I thought Corsair, the build quality is good. If you're into like an office mouse, I think they'll last a good while.
Well, the M65 is very popular, and I could never work out why.
Because it's made of metal. There's a metal bottom
Yeah,
to
but
it.
you got to understand. I reckon
tried
there's
it,
a
it's
serious
terrible.
market for metal. Like, not everyone
It's the
likes
shape.
the feel of a mouse, like plastic.
The
thing.
M65, I'm sure
It's
that
a
must be more of an
crazy
MMORPG sort of mouse.
Yeah, they've gone for
Oh,
like
they
this
have the
ridiculous
sniper button.
racing car sort of
Sniper
grill
button.
look.
Yeah, they do have the sniper button.
They got the sniper.
I tried to use that sniper button once in CS. It does not work. I don't
Of course it
understand.
doesn't.
No, it's a DPI
No,
switch
it's a
that you should
DPI
never
switch,
use.
Yeah, which you're supposed to put obviously the zoom in.
But I don't understand that
stupid.
because
No.
it makes no sense.
No,
No,
makes zero
Of course
sense.
not.
Not in a game like CS.
So Corsair, great marketing gimmick. It didn't work on us.
No.
Well, we did buy one though. So yeah, maybe
Yeah, I know. And we got 2 in the office.
Actually, we have a white one as well. Actually, I think because it did do a white
They
one.
have been lost.
Yeah, Corsair. What Corsair from a mouse perspective? I can't think of one that I like.
No, but obviously their other stuff's quite good. But
Yeah, the
mice,
keyboards and
mice are
alright.
just
Yeah, I just feel like
average.
it's an opportunity where they've missed out on there.
Yeah, Corsair. Come on.
Can't be hard to design a decent mouse. Come on, Corsair, you doing?
Well, just do what all the Chinese brands do and copy the Death Adder.
Yeah,
Done.
boom. Award-winning shape.
Easy.
Finished.
And that's not a lie. That's check Amazon. There's thousands on there. Link in the description.
Right, to wrap up, I think now
Again?
we've discussed.
Double wrap up. Secondary wrap up.
Right, for the final.
Second and final wrap up.
For the final wrap up, we're going to basically wrap up by wrapping up the top 5 mice that we love, basically. Obviously, we
Is
know.
this right? What we're saying is the top 5 right now that you can buy today, not from previous generations. We're talking
Just
about
top, yeah. So yeah, okay. So for consumers out there who actually
Yeah.
have somehow got through the last 30 minutes of
Yeah.
of us just talking
of high
nonsense,
quality mouse content.
if you're actually wanting to, press the X on this and go, okay, I actually have an idea of what I want to buy, we're going to give you the top 5 based on our opinions and our
Yeah.
massive
Well,
history.
it's
of
not like
playing
they're not
games.
informed. We've used a ton of mice.
Yeah, we've used over 60 mice, 50 mice, 60 mice. I don't know. We've used a lot.
Yeah. We've
So
used loads
all right. So top 5, obviously our top 3, I assume. Shaun.
So, obviously, until the next iteration of Zowie mice, where they fix the scroll wheel and the rubber cable, until then, for me, it's going to be the Viper Ultimate. Despite the issues I had mid-game, it's the best wireless mouse I've ever used. It's comfy for my right hand. It's extra light. It's 74 grams. It has the best buttons, and a really good sensor. There's nothing really to slate about it, and I
Yeah.
think the little charge port you get with it is good as well. It's
Cool.
probably the best wireless
Oh,
mouse.
the docking
It's the
station
best
thing.
wireless mouse I've ever used, so therefore it must be in the top 5 mice.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Makes
Charlie.
sense. It's a difficult one, I think. If you're going off, I'd like to say the Mx518 Legendary, but there are better mice nowadays in terms of just the technical aspects of it. Like, even though the sensor's still one of the best in the world, I think the Razer one might be slightly better these days.
Just go for play then. Just go for actual
Um,
play performance.
You'd
For
never
you
be able to
particularly.
tell a difference between those sensors.
No, yeah, that's the whole conversation. But yeah, I'll still go with it. The MX518. It's right up there. Loads of people use it. It was either that or the G Pro, which a lot of pros use, and yeah, it would be either that or the G Pro.
Cool. Well, I mean, on that, obviously, I'm the G Pro, obviously. Obviously, the G Pro is going to be my favourite. As a professional player, yeah, no, I can't bullshit that. As a professional player, yeah, the G Pro, definitely.
Perfect.
All right, so that's our top 3.
Have we got like a best budget? What would be our best budget pick?
Well, the stalwart, as they call it, is the G203 Prodigy, isn't it? And that's
I don't like it.
that's largely down to being reliable and dirt cheap.
Yeah.
It's like $20, £20.
No, I wouldn't so much agree with that.
I would never use it, but it's just if you were someone who
That's 'cause you
needed a
get
cheap,
products for free. Why would you use that?
I would never ever use it. It's too small. It's ambidextrous, but if you were new, so let's say you were a new person to PC gaming, and you haven't got any money, it's a good first mouse.
I agree.
I don't think the difference between sort of that and this in terms of price is going to kill anyone in the back pocket. Might be being a bit naive there. But with this, you get a much better sensor. I think the build quality is
What
probably
is that you've got in
better.
your hand?
This is the Cone Pure Ultra.
So basically the new iteration of what I liked as a small.
Yeah,
Cone
this
Pure.
is the latest version of this.
Yeah.
It is light
the
though,
RGB
so...
one. Isn't that?
This has got RGB. Yeah.
But isn't that like over 50, 60?
Nah, it's a budget mouse. What are we classing as budget?
30 quid.
20 to
30 tops.
Yeah,
I
30
don't
tops.
think it
If
falls
it's
under
34,
30.
then that's fine.
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
think it does. I'll have a look, so-
Because if that's the case, this one.
Just because after
Yeah.
after that Logitech one, you have all the fake brands.
How much is the Logitech one?
It was 23.
So
Yeah.
it's $39.99.
It's
sort of bored.
Yeah, kind of is, but
We can mention it, but
In terms of
It's-
value, this better than the 203.
yeah, value. Yeah,
Yeah.
But we can't.
No.
Yeah, no, but it's an extra 14
40
quid.
quid.
But value is a definite.
How much is the thingy? It's an extra tenner.
The G203 is $23. It was.
Is it 23?
It's something
So
ridiculous.
that must be like 22 quid, 23 quid.
G203.
Something like that. Is it that? That's the one I mean. Prodigy.
Yeah, so I don't know
Yeah.
if it was the 302 or the 2.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that one,
so
yeah.
that's 25 quid. Yeah, so 25 quid. It's an extra 15.
Yeah, I think we can mention it because it's 15 quid. Yeah, all right, it's expensive. It's 15 quid more, but 15 quid honestly to a gamer. It just
It
depends
is-
if
it
it's
is
them buying
nothing.
or the parents buying, basically.
Well, I can't even say the outdated one because it's only a quid cheaper.
What, this one?
Yeah, ridiculous, and that's got a much better sensor.
What's the sensor?
The Ally.
All right. I mean,
That's got the Ally, and
what's
this has
the
got
G-
like the updated Ally in
the
it.
G203 is not bad. Is that the G203 like the 3310?
It will be. It must be. Can't be worse than a 310.
Anyway,
Fact check that.
for me personally, I'd spend a little bit extra. Could you class this as an out-and-out budget mouse? Sorry, maybe not. It's sort of just on the edge there of falling into slight mid-range. But if you are willing to pay a little bit extra, I think that you do get benefits with this. But again, I mean, it might be too light for some people. It's 60 grams. They are catering towards the sort of competitive gamer with this. That for me though, my opinion, I really like that mouse.
Okay,
and if you
so-
can sort of stomach the cost.
So budget
it's worth
picks,
it.
obviously. 2 or 3.
Aesthetically, that is nicer.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But
Aesthetically.
the G203 has a PMW 3366, which is also considered
Yeah.
quite good.
Yeah,
Mm.
very good.
So they're both. But I personally would spend the extra 15 for that one that you're saying.
Yeah.
Because it would fit my right hand better.
The issue with doing this though, saying you'll spend an extra 15, is if I then come into the mix and was like,
Another 15.
well, I'd buy this for another 15. You
Yeah,
Yeah,
then
well,
it's 30
the
though.
difference is it's 30 over the thingy.
Mm.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
It's
that's
a
what I mean. It
tricky
is
one.
difficult, but I think one thing that we need to make clear is if you are going to be playing competitive titles, 15 quid is going to make a huge. For me personally, it would make a huge difference to your in-game play. And I know I've said that it comes down to personal preference, but sensors and things like that go a long way.
It's clutch
in,
on
Well,
no clutch.
no,
That's
the
what it
reason
is.
you're right there
and
for
for
a
you,
different reason.
never a clutch.
That fits my hand better, which makes more of a difference than the sensors.
Yeah. I'd be
Because you
interested to
can't
have
get
a
a bad
look
sensor now.
No, but we're talking about mice from a while ago, 203.
I know, but the G203's got a fairly recent sensor. Like, it's pretty good, but the
Yeah.
shape
I
wouldn't
agree.
fit in my hand. Therefore, I would play worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, we've said this earlier, but
Yeah.
shape is obviously a huge factor in how you actually perform in game. For
Okay,
me,
so-
though, in terms of the budgets, I would go with that.
So your budget pick is the Rocket.
Yeah, budget's
Okay.
mid-range.
Your budget pick is the Logitech G203.
Yeah, just because it's so
Prodigy?
cheap. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. My budget pick would have, to be honest, also been the Rocket, because it's one that I've also used. The previous iteration I've actually not. I don't even think I've ever held the new iteration of the.
Do you want to hold it?
I will do. Yeah, I'll have a little hold.
There you
Ooh,
go.
there we go. First
Feel
time.
it.
Ooh, baby.
Saucy.
That is just the same. I mean,
Well,
it
the
looks.
design hasn't changed.
Yeah, the design's
Almost
not changed.
nothing.
But that this is what.
But you can
just
see the
quickly,
drop in
though-
weight if you. I mean, there is a big difference.
Is there?
Yeah.
Really? Oh wow, yeah, no, there is actually a big difference in weight. Oh wow. Okay, I might take this home later and use this weekend because, yeah, interesting. I've been a massive advocate of the Rocket Compure Owl Eye, the old one, which was like 35 quid.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty same
I
now.
think that just makes that better value for money because it's a
100%,
newer
yeah.
version and it's only a couple of quid more expensive.
Yeah,
It does have a lot going for it, I think.
yeah, definitely. So I guess we can wrap this up now.
Well, can we conclude that that's probably one of our value
picks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Because just to put it in perspective, like the HyperX FPS whatever
No.
is
Oh,
the
the
same.
Pulse.
Is the same
Is it the
price.
Pulse?
And for me, even though it's the same shape as a Death Adder, it is terrible.
Yeah.
So get
yeah.
the rocket.
Sorry, HyperX, but you need to do better with your mice, I think.
Shock.
Well, I've got a lot of pros to say on the headsets. An episode coming soon.
Yeah, the
I like
headsets.
them.
Yeah, the headsets are alright, and the keyboard's alright.
I think they're
but
excellent.
the mice are
value
not.
for me. But that
great.
we do digress.
But that is another episode,
Mm.
maybe.
Leaving them hanging.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up. So if you didn't understand what we were just saying over the last 30 or so minutes, basically our top 5 gaming mice are the Logitech G Pro, for myself, obviously. Charlie's was the Logitech Mx518. Shaun's was the Razer Viper Ultimate.
That's right.
And then our 2 budget picks are the Logitech G203 and Prodigy, and the Roccat Comb Pure, the new iteration. Does it have a name?
Yeah. The Comb Pure Ultra.
Okay, the Comb Pure Ultra.
It's not changed much.
Yeah, it's not changed
In any
much.
aspect,
The old one
name
was the
or
Owl
design.
Eye, and the new one is the
Yeah.
Ultra.
Yeah. Comb Pure Ultra.
Yeah, so there's our top 5 picks. We will be discussing keyboards in our next episode, gaming keyboards obviously, and we'll probably talk about a few other brands that we've not really mentioned today. And then for the 3rd episode, hopefully, if we get there, we'll be talking about headsets and so on and so forth. Thank you for watching / listening. If you have any comments or anything, just give us a shout. If you want to subscribe, go for it. If you want to follow us, go for it. If you want to check out our website, go to wepc.com. Otherwise, this has been Will, Shaun, Charlie, and Paul. You didn't hear him. He's just a camera guy.